Hi guys, welcome back to Determined to Praise. So I pray that you guys have been enjoying Faith Over Fear and that these videos have been really encouraging to you guys. It's been fun doing them, but it's even more fun just knowing that I'm able to help give other people strength. As I said before in my last video, these videos are for me and for you because I struggle just like you guys struggle, and it's not easy trying to hold on to our faith, especially during difficult situations. Like, you have a moment when you believe and then the wind comes blowing and it starts shaking you up and then you're like, oh, I don't know about this, Lord. So it's understandable, but I really just want to encourage us to, even though we may feel shaken for a moment, let's just go back to the word and understand and remember that God is with us, and that if he promised you it, then it's going to come to pass regardless of what the situation looks like now. So today we're going to talk about, do you have faith? This is going to be a part 2. So the first scripture I have written down is, because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. That's Matthew 17:20. Faith as a mustard seed. And you know what? I'm mad because I have mustard seeds downstairs. I have mustard seeds and I didn't get one, but they're like literally this big. They're so tiny, so tiny. So faith this big can move mountains. So just imagine with faith bigger than that. And again, I understand that it can be hard and it can be difficult when we're going through things. So I'm going to get into a couple of things really quickly. What I want to talk about today are 2 stories in the Bible. The first one I want to talk about is Sarah. So I'm going to read the Bible scripture. This is Genesis 18. 10 through 13. So it says, and he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life. And behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah was listening in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I surely bear a child since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? And at the appointed time I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. A lot of S's. Sarah shall have a son. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know that in life, like I said before, we have our moments where we believe and our moments where we're down. How many of us have heard God say something to us or something prophesied over us, and as much as we wanted to believe that thing, we went, I don't know about that. That sounds impossible, because that's what Sarah sounds like, right? She's laughing. Is it possible for me to even give birth right now? I'm past the age of, I'm too old to have a child. So fast forward, now we're going to go to Genesis, where's that? Genesis 21, 1 through 6. And the Lord visited Sarah, and he had said, the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. The Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. The Lord has spoken, and he's going to do what he speaks. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. At the set time which God had spoken to him. See, a lot of times our issue is that we're not willing to wait because we want it now. And I get it, because I be wanting it now. No, Lord, I need you to move now. But there's a set time. We have to go through the process and understand that God has appointed a specific time for us to get that specific blessing. So just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It means God says it's not time yet. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, who Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham had circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. 100 years old, that's old. That's old. But the point that I'm making here is that God spoke something. He told Sarah something was going to happen. Sarah had a hard time believing it because it didn't make sense to Sarah. Sarah was old. Sarah's like, this is not possible for me to do. But the Lord, what is too impossible for me? And it goes back to what I spoke about last week. That anything is possible with God. Anything is possible, God. Not some things, not maybe a little things, not a couple things that make sense to the world, but all things are possible through Christ. Everything is possible through him. And we have to really keep that in mind. Again, I know it's hard sometimes because even I have those moments where I go, yo, as bad as I want this thing, like, am I really going to get this? Like, I mean, I want it, but yo, this would be crazy if this happened. I'm just speaking from truth. It'd be crazy if this happened. But the question is, do we have the faith or do we not have the faith? Do you have faith? Do you not have faith? Do you sometimes have faith? Do you have faith when it's convenient for you? How does this work? How does it work for you? So, the next thing I want to talk about is Peter. Peter. So, let's go to Matthew. I have it. Hold on. I have it in here. Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 through 33. Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now, when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come out on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid, and he began to sink and cry out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hands and called him and said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Again, how many of us hear what God has to say, believe what he's saying, and believe is going to come to pass, but then as soon as things start happening, when it starts getting rough and you start feeling a little crowded and overwhelmed, we go, I don't know, maybe it can't happen, maybe it won't happen, I thought it could, but now I'm not believing it. But the question is, why are we doubting who God is and what he can do? The truth is, God has came through for us several times already. He's already done things over and over and over again. He continuously shows us what he's capable of, but yet and still, in the midst of trouble, we start to worry. In the midst of trouble, we start to doubt. In the midst of trouble, we start to feel like God can't do what he already told us that he was going to do. Even though the word says it's going to happen, we still sit there and turn around and we doubt, and we allow fear to have the power. We allow doubt and worry and frustration to have the power. And we can no longer do that. Again, I understand we're all human beings. As I'm saying it to you, I literally struggle with the same thing. And I really want us to step out of that. To step out of this whole thing where we start feeling like God isn't who he promised us that he was. God is still the Almighty. He is still the one in control. He is still the one with all power, all authority. The one who can make all things come to pass. He's still that one. So then we have to believe that and know it and keep it buried in our hearts. So that way when the hard times come, we can stand firm in his word and we can go, yo, you know what? No. This happened last time. Last time when things started getting rough, I started doubting and worrying and I was stressed for nothing. And I'm not saying you can't be stressed. It's going to happen. We're human beings. We're going to have those moments where we go, Lord, I don't know about this. But what I want you to do is when that happens, we have to snap our fingers and go, you know what? We're not going down this path today. We're going to stand stronger. We're going to have faith and we're going to keep our hope and we're going to know that God is going to do what he promised us. The house is coming. The car is coming. The child is coming. The job is coming. The raise is coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And I know it's hard and it's frustrating and it's waiting period because we don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. We don't see it. It's not making any sense. Everything is looking the opposite of what it's supposed to be. It's still going to come. It's still coming. It hasn't stopped just because life is getting hectic. It's still there. We have to stand the test and the trials and understand that we have to go through things to get to where we're going. So we have to continue to trust in God regardless of what the situation looks like. We have to hold on to our faith. I don't care look, the other week somebody was preaching in church about just holding on to the garment. I don't care if you got the little thread, the little piece, you hold on to that thing and keep holding on to it because your miracle, your blessing, that thing you're waiting on, that impossible possible, it is coming. So hold on to that thing and you don't let it go for nothing. I don't care who says what, who's doing what they looking like, if they laughing at you because we look crazy. Hold on to your faith and keep it. Don't let nobody allow you to let go of that thing. So, a couple things I want to say, right? Can we normalize trusting God? Can we normalize ignoring haters, unbelievers, and those that doubt? Can we normalize believing the impossible? Can we normalize looking crazy to those who don't understand what we're going through? Can we normalize having faith? We have to have faith and we have to trust in God. Again, I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating. I know you want to quit. I know you want to give up. But we have to trust in God, because the question goes back to, do you have faith? Do you have faith? Do you have that thing? Do you have it? Do you trust in our God? Do you trust in our Father? Do you know that He is able to do all things? Do you believe? Do you truly believe it in your heart? Is the question, because we say it, and I feel like we've gotten so used to saying it that part of us is just our natural. It's just a natural thing to do. Let's just say the Bible scriptures. But no, the question is, do you really fully believe it in your heart? As you're speaking it, do you believe it? Is it in your mind? Is it in your soul? Is it in your heart? Do you trust in God with all of you? Do you understand? Like, do you really? Is the question. Do you really? Or is it just something that you do because you're just used to doing it? Is it something that's just normal? Is that what it is? Or do you truly believe in God and have faith and hope in Him and know that all things are possible through Him? So, again, I ask you, do you have faith? Or are you like Sarah that laughs when you hear God's plan because it doesn't sound like it's possible? Do you have faith? Or are you like Peter, who started to believe, but then when the road got hectic, he started to doubt and drown? Do you believe, or are you going to doubt every time things get rough? Do you believe? Do you have faith? Do you trust Him? Do you? Or is it just something you do out of habit because you go to church and it's something that the pastor says all the time? So you go, yeah, that's true. Is it something you believe in because they said it, or is it something that you believe in because you've been through it and you know the God that we serve and He's brought you through too much? Do you believe it, or do you just say it? Do you trust Him? Or is it just something you like to say? What is it? Do you have the faith? And I just have a couple of questions, that I want to ask. And I'm going to read a couple Bible scriptures. So the question is, what do we do when we are in the wilderness and we aren't sure which way to go? What do we do when we're waiting on that miracle and we're waiting on that promise that God has made? Do we live in fear that it won't happen because it doesn't look like it's going to happen? Or do we have enough faith to keep trusting God? Which is it? Which is it? And again, I understand we're people, we're human, we're flawed. We're going to have those moments where we worry, but we have to snap out of it. We cannot keep giving the devil space. We cannot keep giving doubt room in our minds to grow, because that's all it does. That all it needs is that little bit, and it's in there causing us to go crazy. It's stirring up trouble. We are no longer giving the enemy room. We're no longer giving doubt room. We're no longer giving people who don't understand or believe room. We don't have no room for them. The only thing we have room for is God and for what He's going to do in our life. We're only here to make the impossible possible, because that is what God is going to do through us. So we have to keep trusting and believing in Him. And so I have 2 Bible scriptures that I wrote down. So faith comes from hearing, that is, hearing the good news about Christ. Romans 10:17. We've heard the good news about Christ. Haven't you heard the good news? Heard the good news. We know what our God is capable of. We know what He can do. We know that all things are possible through Him. We heard the good news. And now here comes the faith. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Now, I know I've probably said this one a lot. I don't know, you probably heard it a lot. But again, we have to go back to that one, because when we get into those moments where we start trusting our own stuff or trusting our own fears, we mess up. When we start trying to understand what God is doing, we're not going to always understand what He's doing. But we have to trust Him anyway. We can't lean on what we think we know, because we don't know it all. Only God does. We don't know everything. Only God does. So when you start trying to put 2 and 2 together and think that you can figure this little puzzle out, no, you mess up when you do that. We cannot be out here trying to step in God's way. We have to let Him be God. So that means we have to trust Him and lean not on our own understanding. We have to trust in Him and lean on Him through all things. Again, I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating. I know it's difficult. But we have to trust in Him. We have to trust in Him. I really want to get to a place where my faith is not wavering. I don't care about what's going on around me, what people are saying, or how stupid I may look to them. I want to trust God with every fiber in my body and know that it's going to happen regardless of what it looks like. And I just want to encourage you guys to have the same type of faith. I don't want to be out here worried and stressed out. I want to say, you know what? My bills need to be paid and I don't got the money, but you know what? My God has me here for a reason. God didn't, He doesn't bring us to situations to just leave us there. And that's one thing that I say to myself that makes me feel a lot better when I'm stressed out, when I'm worried. God didn't bring me here to leave me here. He didn't bring us here to leave us here to watch us struggle. That's not what this is. What he's doing is helping us to build faith, to build character. So that way when we start going through these storms, we can look back to that last time and go, no, the last time this happened, God made it work. So why would he not make it work this time? If he came through the last time and the time before that and the time before that, why would he not come through for you this time? It's just a waiting period. It's just a season. And I know it's hard and I know you're tired, but we have to trust in him regardless. So the question remains, do you have faith? So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please stay tuned because next month for April, I am going to be interviewing children. And I'm very excited to do it. But it's important we get children involved in this so that we can know that they understand it's more than just making them recite Bible scriptures and, you know, them being able to recite things. But what do they actually attain up here? What do they actually know in their heart? Do they actually understand who God is and what he's doing? And so I'm really excited to interview the children. So that's what we're going to do for the month of April. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's anything specific you would like me to talk about, any questions that you have, or maybe any questions you have for me to ask the children when we do the Q&As next month. So stay tuned, stay encouraged. Guys, listen, we have the authority. God has given it to us. We have to trust in our God regardless of what it looks like. So stay encouraged and hold on to your faith and know that God hears you, he sees you, and he's going to make things happen for you. Have a great day. Bye.